We've probably started to view government's approach to business by how they deal with banks. My own experience with banks, since I was quite interested, a first restaurant, rather ambitious first restaurant. NatWest lent me £1 million at 2% above base with no security. 7 years ago, opened Roast, and the bank lent me £500,000. Both those restaurants turn over and generate over £1 million net profit each year. So about 2 years ago, I thought, I'll open another one, but this time I'll do it without investors. Investors irritate me. And I bet they irritate all of you. Some of you are probably investors who irritate other people. So I thought, why don't I go to the bank and say, I want to do something. You put up half, I'll put up half. They wouldn't give me a penny. Wow, this is extraordinary. And then more recently, the government initiated a couple of schemes, the funding for lending scheme and the, what's the other one called, for guarantees? Export finance guarantee. Export finance guarantee scheme. And there's, so suddenly I thought, maybe I should try this again. So I hired a broker and I said, see if these banks are actually doing anything, or they're just like more government. Karen enjoyed this, that's good. And within a week, I had 3 banks calling me up, offering to finance 50% of the project. Oh, this is good. So I've called them all 3 of them, and I said, I showed them about this event. I said, the bank that gives you the best deal, I'll mention them at this event. And HSBC, and so that shows you 2 things. Firstly, that the new schemes are working, and it also shows you the power of being involved with E2E. So should even make sure I pay my membership. So now, ladies and gentlemen, on to the main event of the evening. In the red corner, we have Lord Parry Mitchell, Labour spokesman on Biz Affairs. We have the Right Honourable Michael Fallon, who is on a short deadline, so I'll make it as quick as I can, and who represents the Conservative Party and this government. And we have Karen Billamoria. I can't bring myself to call him Lord Billamoria, because I've known him for 20 years. And he will represent the neutral zone, or his blue version of the neutral zone. So can I first invite Lord Mitchell to come and make the case that business is better off under Labour government?
Thank you very much, Iqbal. You know, when you spend all your life talking to politicians, it's great to be with entrepreneurs again. Because that's where I come from, and that's where I feel most at home. I must tell you something, absolute God's honest truth. I'm going to have a cheap snipe, I just can't resist it. I was being wired up just over there with the mic and everything else, and the guy did say to me, where shall I hide the cable? And I said, you're mixing me up with somebody else. Shalini, you were talking about this recovery, this beginnings of a recovery, 0.3% growth in the last quarter. It's amazing, you know, how managing expectations happens. We were all thinking that it was going to be plus 0.1%, maybe even minus 0.1%, and then it comes up with plus 0.3%, and the champagne corks are breaking out. 0.3% multiplied by 4 is 1.2% GNP growth. It's better than nothing, but it is not. This is not a recovery that's taking place, I promise you. Now I'm going to do something very unusual for people in this position. I'm going to start off with great joy talking about my failures. I love my failures. You will appreciate this. The greatest failure I had in business was I opened a restaurant. I mean, God only knows why. It was in Soho. It went by the name of Mitchell & O'Brien. And it was a New York deli brought to London. And it was the coolest bar and restaurant in London. They came in, they went out, we won all the awards, best this, best that, and everything else. But it went bust. And I lost, well, it wasn't a 7-figure amount, it was pretty damn close. So that was quite painful. And then I went into a business that I thought was very sexy, and it was the financing of brand names. We thought it'd be really good if companies like Cadbury's, if you could actually get their brand name, the brand itself, valued, and provide financing against that brand to help the rest of the company, security of the brand. And we got all these people, companies like Interbrand, and they value the name of the companies, and we went to them, and we got some people who got pretty close to doing it, but nothing happened. We were ahead of our time, but I went down 400 on that one. And I also had various other companies. I had a graduate recruitment company. I had an election technology company, and they also went under. So in my time, I can tell you, I've had my fair share of losses and pain. But luckily, I've had my successes as well. And my successes came in the area of leasing, in the leasing of high technology. When I stick to what I know, I do really, really well. So from the age of, well, from 1969 to 2006, I set up 4 companies in succession. Well, one of them I didn't actually set up, just worked with. The other 3, I set up myself, literally sitting around the kitchen table, and in each case, building it up to being a major global player. The company, United Leasing, which was became the first listed company, full listing on the London stock market, and we started it and sold it 11 years later. I sold my first company in June 1987. I sold that company sold in June 1987. My final company was sold in 2006. And as I say, you can say whatever you like about me, I don't care how much it hurts, but you can never criticize my timing. And you know, I say all of this because I know entrepreneurs, and I know you guys are entrepreneurs, and I know it's good when it's great, but it's horrible when it's horrible, and it's risk and reward, and sometimes you think like chucking the whole thing in, but you keep on going, and people who are not entrepreneurs just don't understand it. They just think the money appears from somewhere, and it's really easy. It's never easy for anybody. It's tough. Iqbal, I'm sure you've had your few ones that have gone wrong, and we all have. And I think that's what makes us stronger and better, and just better entrepreneurs. And that's why when I'm dealing with politicians, I have to say, which I do most of the time, and it's true of all of them, I hear them getting out talking about entrepreneurialism and this, and we've got to do that, and everything else. They haven't a clue. Honestly, they don't feel it. They don't really know what it is. And I think it's a reflection of our system, to be honest, that we have so many people getting into politics who don't have proper sort of background. I mean, for example, the Chancellor, any Chancellor, will get up and say, we've reduced income tax from whatever it is to whatever it is. We've reduced corporation tax. We've reduced the inheritance tax. That's what's going to make us an entrepreneurial society. 1972, I set up my first company. Do you know what my marginal rate of tax was? 98%. Top rate of 75%, plus unearned income of 15%. 98%. I don't even know what capital gains tax was at that time. Probably it was the same. It was all, and I had no idea about inheritance tax, and I didn't care. I wanted to set up a business. I wanted to be a businessman. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to make something that everybody else would look up to. I wanted great customers. I wanted great staff. And I wanted to make it bigger and more fantastic than even I thought was possible. And I managed to do it. So when you hear these people about a little bit of fine-tuning here, a little bit of fine-tuning there, believe me, they have no idea what they're talking about. And how do you think Richard Branson and Alan Sugar would think about that as well? Exactly the same. Now, in politics, as I now am, for my sins, I have 2 responsibilities. I sit on the front bench for Labour, and I'm responsible for small and medium-sized enterprises. Mine is the easy job. Michael, as the Minister, is much harder. Of course, he has all the real responsibility. But I also head up Labour's digital task force. I'll say a little about that in a moment. Now, all governments want to boost SMEs, not only in this country, around the world. SMEs have become flavour of the month. Now, you know something's wrong when they use the term SME, because what they don't know is that small companies and medium-sized companies are totally completely different. It's a different mentality. I've always thought that medium-sized companies have more in common with large companies than they do. A small company can be one man in the dark. So I do use the term because nobody else understands it if I don't use it. But I think it's an insidious term, to be honest. This government, if I can have my little bit of a go, I mean, just think of all the initiatives that have been announced in the last 3 years. I mean, I can talk about Project Merlin, you mentioned about one, you can get the name right, I can't get them right. There's a list of about 12 or 13, all of them different initials. And it's my job to know what they are, and I don't know what they are, so how can anybody else know what they are? To be honest, it's been a total mess. But I have to say, it's getting better. And I think the funding for lending scheme is beginning to get some form, and I may be stealing Michael's thunder, but I think the announcements that were made yesterday about funding for lending is a really good step in the right direction. It's really targeting SMEs for the first time, and it's basically saying to the banks, this is the direction you've got to go. And also, it's now possible to use intermediaries. And I come from a leasing background. 1/3 of all capital financing in this country comes via leasing. We were excluded